Hello.
Welcome, everybody. I guess that's what we're going to go over today. Welcome, everyone, to Bobby's Cryptid Corner, where every Tuesday we get together and we talk about the weird, the creepy, the cryptid, the paranormal, and just all things to do with whatever holiday is going on, because we like to stay on brand like that. So tonight we have a very exciting character for us all. We are going over Santa Claus.
It's very obscure.
And as always, our drinking game that we've been running this whole time has been drink anytime we say something incorrectly and we mispronounce it. So that's going to be our go-to now. Before we even get started, I do have to say thank you very much to Sarah. We love you.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. I hope you're feeling better, my love. And hello to all the people out in the chat who are out there. I love this.
Grandmaster UV. Enzo's here, Dirty Mike, and that's all we got so far.
That's
Aaron?
Perfect.
We just
Ooh, Aaron. Ooh, yeah.
Aaron.
Aaron. Looks so cute in his golden probe shirt.
Very.
I agree. I was thinking, like, if anyone else got it, we should do like a little montage of people wearing it.
We should. You guys, you got one, Bree?
I do.
I've got
That's
one.
not the look for today. Today is Santa Claus.
Yes, today we are Christmassy. I've got a bow on my head because you know what? I am a gift to you all.
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that. I was so excited, Jamie, to see your face when the pump happened. I was like, yes. It's a little bit different than most of our cryptids. We're a little bit usually like dark and ha 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 ha. And this time we're having a little bit of fun. It's holiday cheer.
Yeah, this one's more of a hilarious episode, although I feel it gets dark in a different kind of a way. It gets dark in a reality of what consumerism has done to us.
I was going to say, are the Germans involved?
No.
Not this time.
Yeah, I actually went on a rampage to Kari earlier about my frustrations, and I was like, maybe this is because I'm also having to do this. You know, we're looking at the presentation, and it's hitting me even more than usual to see just what it's about and the pressures. And anyways, we will get into that. So first, let's just get into the meat and potatoes.
Love
First
this
of all,
one.
Accurate.
Damn, Jamie, look at your rack on this.
That's
one.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
accurate.
God.
Accurate.
And,
yeah. I
and
knocked Tony out.
I'm just like a little boy over here. I'm just like
Just like a little boy.
Accurate.
Screenshot.
Exactly. Elf on a shelf. I am.
Elf in
Yeah,
my
you guys are working it.
pants.
That's the present that Jamie is all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just so everyone knows, I'm drinking Woodchuck hard cider amber sweet apple red tonight. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, let's do that. What's everyone drinking tonight?
what's everyone
Let's do
drinking?
The cliche.
Before we get into it, yeah.
Okay, we've never
Party.
actually gone over this before.
Ooh.
I'll start. I am just having some white wine.
Ooh. Okay.
Very nice.
Classy, eh?
What about you, Bibby?
I'm drinking pure scotch.
Ooh. Okay. That's a whole vibe.
Like-
What about you,
like-
Tones?
I'm drinking straight whiskey.
Oh, see. Well, there we go.
Yeah,
Gentlemen.
I was on a bourbon
What?
kick for a long time. Then someone brought over a bottle of scotch recently. I'm like, I think I like scotch better for now.
Scotch
I need
is
to
good.
go on
At the end of the
a
day,
tasting.
it's I like the taste of bourbon better, but I like the buzz from scotch better. So
No spritzer, Enzo, actually, but good thinking. So Enzo
Yeah, we love a
knows
spritzer.
me because
We love a
the whole
spritzer,
time
yeah.
in Vegas, I'm like, white wine spritzer. No one could really make them.
Yeah, they were like
Idea at a
confused.
party one day.
But it's
I
a
agree.
nice way to drink, but then not drink too much. It's like I have a white wine spritzer. No, this is
Tones,
just straight
you can
wine.
come over.
All right. Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, Father Christmas, Saint Nick, Kris Kringle, Santa Claus.
Satan.
Whatever you name him. Listen, the Christians do. I stumbled upon a page that was titled "Should Christians Celebrate Christmas?" ? And it didn't make it in the presentation because it was batshit crazy. But like one of the things was like Santa is an anagram for Satan, and I was like,
it is true.
It is true.
And I will just say, like, you could find the craziest takes from any group, and it's best not to apply it across the entire spectrum of that group.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe we should dive into that one day because it's like Saturday is also supposed to represent Saturn. There's so many different layers to all of that.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe one day we will dive down there. We all know who this figure is. I don't think we should have to necessarily explain. So this is not in a slide that I believe. This typical white, funky, good-looking man here brings us presents and stuff.
He's too skinny in this one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any legs.
You know what? It's like society. You're too fat. You're too skinny. Poor Santa Claus. He's just.
Are we gonna fat shame Santa tonight?
You
A
just
little bit,
did.
I feel like.
You
No,
just
I
did.
skinny shamed him.
Body positivity.
Oh, I guess Jamie did end this. Okay.
Nowadays. Santa, oh, sorry.
Nowadays, Santa is remembered as a check this out, guys. Seriously, let me take this one. I've never read this slide in my life, but we're gonna make it work.
Yeah.
So nowadays, meaning right now in these current times, Santa is actually remembered as a jolly fat man or skinny man, and in red. And if you guys may or may not know, he brings us toys or presents to good girls and boys on Christmas Eve. But this story actually starts all the way back to the 3rd century.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Now the way that you guys even worded that, it makes me sad. The good boys and girls, because there are kids out there that are less fortunate, and maybe they don't think that they're good because they didn't really get that much for Christmas, or maybe Santa didn't show up, and then they have to go to school when everyone returns from the holidays, and it's Santa didn't visit my house. And this is just one of the things that breaks my heart in Christmas, and it's not trying to damper it, but I also don't think that we should ignore that.
I think
we all know that we all know that God and Santa hate poor people. So
yeah, obviously.
I disagree.
Oi.
Hey,
you could donate to
life
the
gives
church.
you lemons. Go to a food bank.
Santa, as all things I think that we've covered in this entire month, really, that has to do with anything, all comes down to Yule, which at the root of that all comes down to the story of Odin and the wild hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same thing with Santa Claus. He is depicted as sort of Odin himself, and it is the same type of motifs that we have of this magical person riding around in the skies with an entourage of spirits or any, the animal that is accompanying him. So I've learned so much from this whole.
That is
Right.
Gandalf.
Absolutely.
It is Gandalf.
Straight up fucking.
But Gandalf also.
Ian McKellen.
That was another. That was another rabbit hole I sort of went down, was Gandalf being Odin. And so anyway,
Ooh.
this whole thing is a rabbit hole situation that we've gone over.
It really is.
But this is one consistent thing in every single cryptid, lore, everything that we've gone over for the holidays this entire month. I think every single one that we've done has always tied back to Odin and the wild hunt.
Absolutely.
All of them.
Absolutely. And I think all of the ones we went over even influence Santa Claus today. And we're going to go over a few different versions out there that lead up to the American version. But I think that all the versions we went over already have also led up to the American version.
I want to do a little. Autobiographical questions for everyone. One.
I'm going to say you pronounce that wrong.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
drink ya ho ho ho.
Yeah.
One. Did you guys have Santa when you were a child? And two, what age did you realize he was a cryptid?
Yes, and I don't remember. Like I don't have like a traumatic memory or a memory of like flipping over to the other side, but I did believe in Santa when I was younger, and it had to have been pretty young. I didn't like I can remember maybe like my 10th Christmas, and I didn't I knew Santa wasn't real on my 10th Christmas. You know what I mean? But I don't remember when it changed. What about you, Tony?
10 is about right.
Yeah. What about you, Tones?
I'd say when I realized Santa wasn't real, I was probably around 7 or 8. Because I was the kid that couldn't fall asleep, so I was up while my parents were putting the presents under the tree. So I was like, "Oh."
Did you let him know that you saw him?
No.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Did
you humor them a few years after that? Like, yes, Santa's coming.
Yeah, Santa's here. Great.
Bree, you go ahead now.
Yeah. I wish I could remember. I don't remember a lot of childhood, but I was lucky enough to celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas just as equally. But I do remember always writing. So I made sure to always make cookies, and I would leave out carrots for the reindeer. Yep. And then I would write a letter to Santa, and I would always beg Santa to let me know that he's real and to sign. I'd be like, sign here. Like to acknowledge that he was there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older where I realized, like, oh my God, my parents signed that letter every year. So like, good for like, thanks guys. Like that was really nice.
That was sweet.
Like, God, Santa signed, like thinking that meant legitimacy. Now it's like, hello, forged signatures, derp.
Yeah, derp.
But, as a child, I was like, it's real. You signed.
What about you, Bibby?
My first. This is a lot of kids, including myself. This is their first red pill. And
for sure.
This is my first red pill, but it wasn't like a shocking, world-shattering red pill because I suspected that it was bullshit. And it was a very casual, it's kind of like a casual breakup, you know, but in this case, my mother was involved, which is weird. But I was just like, hey, so like it was I was probably 9 or 10 years old. I was like, hey, so like this Santa thing
it's not real, right?
He's like, yeah, it does. I'm like, all right, cool. And then it was just like went on with my day. But that does leave you in a precarious situation where you're a child, because when you ask for something and your parents are like, we're not getting you that for Christmas, you could be like, well, I'm just gonna ask Santa. But if you're in a situation where you know you've had that world-shattering conversation with your parents, you no longer have that option. So I'm just saying, ride that Santa wave as long as you can.
As long as you can. Yeah,
you
exactly.
Know what? That moment could have been the moment that peaked, that sparked your entire like conspiracy-ish personality. Not to say like conspiracy.
It was Santa.
That could have been the first moment where you were like, I'm questioning.
No, I'm just like, everything's a fucking lie. All right.
Right.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Let's apply this situation
to everything. Yeah.
To everything, because I don't trust anyone anymore. It's not conspiracy. It's just like straight truth. Like,
well, it is kind of a conspiracy thing.
Well, Santa Claus is a conspiratorial cautionary tale to keep children in line throughout the year, and I'm all in favor for that, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. I think there's such things as good propaganda from time to time, but
just a little bit of it,
Just a little bit more. Hey, I imagine that your parents were grateful.
You better behave yourself in July or in
my
December.
New favorite thing is the parents wrap fake presents and put them under the tree early, and then when the kids are behaving bad, they throw them away or throw them outside or burn them and shit, and watch the kids melt down. Yes. And I'm like, oh yes, more of that.
I remember my mother kind of feeling slighted when like we'd be like, oh my God, thank you, Santa. And then internally she's just like, it was me the whole time.
It was me.
Give me the
I want the recognition. All right, give us the next slide.
She's Italian.
I imagine that every parent is so grateful when you know, because they don't have to pretend
anymore.
Do all these things. Although I do know for a fact that my parents still wait for everyone to fall asleep and the house to hit dead silent for them to stuff our stockings. They still do that.
And I am not a parent, but I will say if it's not too late, do not bring the elf on the shelf tradition into your house. Because outside looking in, it's like that seems like a ginormous pain in the ass. Because not only are you running cover for Santa Claus, now you have a thing you have to do every night.
No,
What,
you guys hate on my favorite, but
years?
Kim Kardashian, she was so smart. She put all of the elves inside quarantine for COVID and put them in jars and said, "Oh, sorry, they can't come this year." I was like, fucking genius. She was like, "I'm not doing all that work. That was way too much."
It is an actual thing, though. I actually just recently listened to a story of my mom's friend, and it just sounds so exhausting. Every single day, she has to move the elf, which they've named something weird. She has to like move him and make it seem like some type of chaos has happened, and he's like caused all this commotion, and he's in a different spot, and it's every single day. The kids are like 10 years old.
Yeah,
I'm like, I would just be like, listen, come on, this is not real. This is a freaking little.
I think it's a little disturbing that we are trying to normalize possessed dolls.
That's also true. I agree with you.
Totally.
Dolls get possessed. Anywho,
To be fair, some parents really fucking love that shit. So go on the next.
Yeah, well, more power to them.
absolutely more power to
Be
them.
like, here's how the world works, little fella.
Fuck. Okay, so it stems
Christmas
from
is about Jesus.
Saint Nicholas does stem from an actual person. There is somewhat little to be known about this person in particular and a little bit of conflicting stories, but what we know for sure was that he was born sometime within the 3rd century and was his time that he lived carried out throughout the 4th century, and that he was a monk. And he lived in modern day Turkey, that area. And the legend
now we
around
eat turkey
him,
on Christmas.
Oh,
I almost said Halloween.
Meta.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm trying to work on that. Sorry, Brie.
No, you're fine. I mean,
I had a sweet turkey joke I had to make there.
We loved it.
It was like
I'm
5
glad.
out of 10.
It's prime. It's prime. Yeah, necessary.
Keep it up, man. I'm liking it.
Thanks. Not going to encourage that at all. All right.
So legend of him is that he was a very wealthy person, and it came from inheritance. But he was named a saint because instead of keeping all of his wealth, he would give that back to children, back to the poor. And one of his very well-known tales is a story of him saving a group of sisters, basically from being sold into prostitution and slavery by their own father. No, they were sisters.
Like the girls were sisters. Yeah.
So, and this is hard times. Back in the day, things were very different. So,
so he's like Robert De Niro from Taxi Driver.
He needed money, obviously, and I think this was very common.
He's Robin
back
Hood.
In the day. And so before sending them off into prostitution and slavery, he offered a dowry for them. And so the girls didn't have to be sold. They were able to stay and be married. And
well, they were sold just in a different way.
Yes. But prostitution, I think if you had to weigh your odds.
I was like, but it was not. Okay, it's instead of prostituting to a bunch of men, you were prostituting to one man who was going to take care of you the rest of your life.
It could have, yes. It could have been slavery and prostitution.
Hey, that's what I was getting at.
If I was being sex
so first of all,
would you rather have a million different people that could?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you're choosing the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows that the main difference is prostitutes have a lot more sex than married people.
I
mean,
are we envious?
Quite, very much true. Yes.
Yeah.
Once you put a ring on it,
unless you're the worst prostitute in the world.
I was like, and then
nobody wants me. Let alone wants to pay me.
You have to look at it as in that time. To be married, to have an arranged marriage was ideal, but if you didn't have a dowry, if you didn't have a dowry, it's like you didn't have that type of exchange, so you weren't even an option. It's kick to the streets or have an option to find a correct suitor that could take
also
care
this
of you.
This is the 3rd and 4th century, so that's
what I'm saying.
1800 years ago. So you're looking at somewhere they're probably like 14.
Oh my God, stop. Okay, so yes.
Yeah, but you died at like 27.
Yeah, 27 was old age. It was
a different time.
Completely different time.
The stories of his good deeds definitely spread throughout that entire region. He became known for his sanctity, his sanctity.
Sainthood.
He was known as being a protector of children and of sailors, and they designated a day for him on the day that he died, which was December 6th, and that became his feast day, which was a lucky day. For
December 6th, or no, December. Never mind. Forget it.
That's December 7th.
And this is where
Go ahead.
This is where we kind of get the timeline of Christmas in general. If it wasn't for his death in December 6th, because we know that lines up also with the what's that thing, Jamie?
The other holiday, yeah.
Yeah, what is it?
I can't think of it. We just did it, but
yeah. The what's it called? It's gonna drive me fucking crazy.
The Wild Hunt.
Not the Wild Hunt, the other thing. The
All Hallows Eve. Thanksgiving.
It'll come to me.
It'll come to you. Keep going.
It'll come to me. Yes, you got it. Flag Day.
Flag Day.
I remember they made me join the Boy Scouts in like 8th grade. I didn't want to, and they were like, "All right, it's Flag Day. You got to get up at 4 a.m. and go put flags in people's yards." I was like,
Epiphany.
But who is
the Epiphany? Okay,
that's
the
when
Epiphany
the
lines up. I knew that would happen. The Epiphany lines up in the same timeline as Saint Nick's death. So it either is that
you had an epiphany and remembered it.
Yeah. He either really did die on that day, or they happened to, of course, change dates as things happen with history in general.
Yeah,
rewrite it all the time. Maybe they just aligned it with that.
They Christified paganism and like astrological things.
Absolutely.
Like, in that scenario,
we could do a whole fucking series on it.
Which is a necessary change.
Sinterklaas. I probably pronounced that wrong, so go ahead and drink.
Do it.
His name refers to two things. Firstly, it's the name for the Dutch equivalent of Santa Claus, except this one's from Spain for some reason. I don't know. It is. Secondly, it refers to the actual holiday. So the Dutch version of Christmas, which takes place on December 5th. Well, because they celebrate on the 5th because it's the night before. It's about celebrating it the night before, and then you wake up the next day.
It was the night before.
Twas.
So the big difference between Sinterklaas,
Sinterklaas. Fuck that
Snickerclass. You guys are gonna teach me
versus Santa
bars?
Is that Sinterklaas exclusively places the gifts in front of a fireplace instead of under a tree, and instead of stockings, he fills shoes, which is very typical of things that we've seen, which the children place before the fireplace the night before with candy. So instead of the stockings, they're putting their shoes out in front.
Yeah, that's because if they don't, they're gonna freeze the next morning when they go outside to harvest the whatever grows in winter. That horrible place.
And his feast day that we talked about in the last slide.
Remember when weed was illegal in the United States, and they were like, "We gotta go to Amsterdam."
Right.
It's like I'm gonna go to Denver.
I'm Amsterdam. We need to create our own thing. But
the Dutch have nothing to offer.
You take it, Bray. You take that one.
Nothing.
Okay, so his feast day that we talked about in the last slide when he died became that feast for Sinterklaas. So they are celebrating the day that Saint Nicholas died, and now this feast is turned into giving because he was such a giving saint. He was always just like, aye. So then they're like, okay, on this day we feast, we give.
Yeah, so basically it was like he came the night before when you were sleeping, so you woke up the next day and celebrated him.
That could be celebrated daily if you only knew.
Not if you're married.
This
looks a little racist.
We're going on our first rabbit hole of Sinterklaas.
I get it.
Yeah, that totally agree.
Yeah.
Here's Sinterklaas with his people. Okay.
That's Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z.
So, since 1873, because in 1873 there was one person in particular who decided to somewhat dress up like they would think Saint Nicholas was and started handing out gifts on that day. So since that day, then it became kind of annual to do this parade-like appearance. So every year, Sinterklaas sails from his home in Spain.
Again, here we go with Spain. I don't get it. It's so warm there. Makes no sense.
Various locations. Well, if you think about like a saint, this might be a weird connection that maybe I only make in my own head, but like I think of like Latin, like Catholics, Latin.
I get you. Okay, I understand. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Wait, what's the connection here?
Well, because it's like Latin American people. Spain's a Latin American country, so that's like where saints come from. That's
Spain is definitely not a Latin American country.
Catholicism didn't start in Mexico.
Listen, Bree said it only made sense in her head. Let her have it.
I love it.
That's what I said. For some reason in my head, that makes sense.
Yeah, fuck Italy. It's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
Who's talking? Oh,
what is that?
So every year, the story is that Sinterklaas sails from Spain to various parts of the Netherlands. He makes sure for sure that he hits Belgium, Germany, northern parts of France, and he is accompanied by various helpers. This is an old painting here. You can see him like, yeah, we're going to get in the blackface in a second.
All right.
You can see him going down. It's a huge parade there, and he's seen on his horse kind of throwing out candies and whatnot.
That's pretty cool.
This is what it looks like here in Amsterdam. So it just depends on what part of the world that you're in on how he arrives. But here in Amsterdam, he comes on this like giant ass boat. And it's like a giant parade, of course, in the river area posted during like on the actual street. But he's always with his same posse. He's got a huge posse. This is going to be a turn in racism.
Dude, I totally agree with Bobby Broadway on this one.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Water parades.
I fucking hate street
I agree.
parades.
Street parades are the worst.
They were invented before fun, but I will get down at a water parade because it's like, dude, it's boats. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like a water
Yeah,
parade.
and that's like a huge ass boat. Like it looks like fun. Like they could throw White Claws at people or something.
White
Ooh, okay.
Bud Light, I don't know. Claw. I agreed, Joe. Amsterdam's on the list. So one of the sidekicks that he's with is Emergero.
It's Amerigo.
We're drinking to that. Where did Tony
drink
go?
it?
Oh, he's out. Okay. Well, someone else grab the button.
Sorry, I will. This
is the iconic white horse that Sinterklaas is always with. And that is definitely a clap back to Odin
and
the horse.
And the
horse that he rides with. This is the only non-racist.
He looks low-key like the Pope a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Very Pope-like.
Straight up. I feel like we can't go through this without our other teammates here. But
they've abandoned us.
Zwart Piet. Drink ya ho ho ho.
Yes, unfortunately, there is a racist side to this bullshit that we are going to briefly go over because we have to acknowledge it, but we don't want to like linger on it.
North Pole Pope, I like that. So,
all right.
Zwart Piet means Black Pete. We were going to do an entire episode about this. And we realized there was no way around not being racist. We couldn't even put all of the pictures in here because unfortunately to this day, many people dress up as Black Pete and it really is just a bunch of fair-skinned people in black skin face paint. And it's just very extremely controversial. So he does accompany Sinterklaas as his helper. They still carry this on in the Dutch tradition where he's highly celebrated in Belgium and other parts of Amsterdam. And there are definitely areas, I think for sure in Austria, where people are taking protest to this. There's a lot of incredible artwork that I looked at even from back in the day where it shows kind of like where you would think of Santa's workshop but it's Sinterklaas's workshop, and there are no elves. There are just other Black Pete servants, and they are the ones that are carrying out the toys, and that just kind of continues this whole like master and servant storyline throughout the decades. So we can all see how like wrong this is, but it's interesting. I think as more people become quote woke, you know, it's more like we're starting to open up our eyes to see like what's really fucked up and what's not, and the racist background in them. And this was definitely one of those things.
Well, that was just the art back then.
No. You missed it.
You missed it.
I did.
That's okay.
I know.
All right.
I think it was
There's
just
a
art.
bunch of them. So there's a bunch of them. And so to this day, if you guys are to look up like Sinterklaas and the parade that he goes on, some of these boats, Sinterklaas is the only white person on that boat. And the rest of them are all Black Pete's. And it's just wild.
I saw that movie. Why is he wearing a Pope hat?
Because that's what he looks like.
Sinterklaas.
Yeah.
He's a saint.
Yeah. That's his
Saint.
Christmas outfit. Looking like the Pope. All right, give us the next one.
That's Mary.
All right.
Fowler.
The next accompanied person he has is Pierre Fouettard.
We're gonna have to go ahead and drink to that.
What did you just say?
What did you? What?
Fouettard.
Oops.
I'm a Fouettard sometimes.
Yeah, Fouettard.
Father Whipper.
To Father Whipper. He brings some coal like they all do, but his whole thing is to like whip the bad kids. The original story behind this person actually reminds me a lot of another cryptid that we did not that long ago, where he was portrayed as a butcher, but he was a cannibalistic butcher. And in one particular case, he killed 3 kids, chopped them up into pieces, and then put their bodies in pickled barrels.
Shit.
So like the pieces, like pickling them.
Yeah.
And then sold them off to the market.
Oh, fuck.
What a Fouettard.
Yes. And so the storyline goes that Saint Nicholas saw his horrible crimes and decided, you know what, I'm going to bring these children back to life. So he resurrected them.
Oh, creepy.
And then made Pierre his helper through like eternity, basically as penance for his ungodly crimes against those children.
Wow. Aggressive.
So like,
you know, I feel like we don't have enough cannibal serial killers anymore.
We really don't. Like
after
we
Dahmer,
don't. It's a lost art.
Yeah, so this reminded me of Hans Trapp. And this is also a figure. If you look up this person's name, some of the pictures that comes up is the original Hans Trapp. And it's kind of the same thing, like cannibal, killed kids. In Hans Trapp's story, it was God that realized that he messed up. But in this story, it's Santa. And so instead of having like, you know, him accompany whoever the fuck he accompanies, it's Santa.
Black Pete.
It's the same. It's basically the same storyline, which is kind of interesting.
Which is a different person, yeah.
Yeah. I think Enzo's got a really good point here. He says, wait a minute, is this where Santa's elves come from? Reanimated children.
Possibly.
Maybe.
That's actually a really good point. It could be.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with yes on that
an
one.
Old Victorian, he's going to tie you to a tree and...
It's funny you mentioned that, Enzo. I did some stringent research on this topic, and yes, that is correct.
Love you, Danielle.
So this is what it looks like when they hit the road, the two of them.
The light and the dark.
They have
good and the bad. The little donkeys.
The donkey.
Krampus. We all know we did a story. We did an entire episode of Krampus last year.
I have this on my shirt.
Love it.
Take it away.
The same
Bobby
picture.
or Jamie.
So here's the thing
We'll
about
let Bobby take it.
the thing about Krampus is the German pronunciation is Krampen, son of Hel, the Norse goddess of the dead. So this is actually a half goat, half demon. Arguably the scariest, most violent, but most well known. Don't do that because I can't read it. Most well known of the sidekicks that actually accompany Sinterklaas. He's known for beating and kidnapping of naughty children. Again, great old school cautionary tale. Hey kids, you better behave yourself. I don't know. Like every time I see artwork of these, it's always like well-to-do aristocracy children. It's never like the ones that were working in the factories or whatever.
The poor kids.
Yeah, the poor kids are just like, we're not, we're very well.
You didn't have to scare them. You don't have to scare them into
They're too busy
good.
putting their tiny hands in.
It's like you don't have to scare the poor kids. They're already scared.
Mm-hmm. I just think that's worth noting. For them. I don't think this was a tradition of the less fortunate.
Gotcha.
Of the time.
Krampus is getting so fucking popular.
Again, everyone loves it.
Huge. And this is definitely something that was mainly for Germany, but it is becoming definitely so mainstream that I can almost guarantee, I'm going to predict in a matter of 5 years, we will see a Krampus parade here in the States, not just in Germany.
I'm sure we have it here already.
We do not.
Probably.
There might be towns out there who do it.
We do not. We do not. We do not.
And well, they don't want the dark side of their German history to start.
Yeah,
I mean, they set the bar pretty high. I think we can have a fictional demon that kidnaps children at this point.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
When I see something that's going in mainstream, it's like, okay, every Sunday, if you watch CBS's Sunday Morning, and it's a fantastic show. It was definitely geared toward older people. I used to never watch it as a kid, but I started watching it as an adult. And this is like a show like my grandfather, my grandma, my mom, my dad, and then I started watching because it's very informational every Sunday morning. And this last Sunday morning, they did cover Krampus and the entire parade and all that stuff. And it was like, oh my God, Brie, Krampus was on Sunday morning. Which, like, originally was something I had told someone, and then now it's on CBS.
And they were like, "You're a conspiracy theorist," and then it's on CBS.
Yeah.
So, I think that it's become mainstream, and also it spawned so many movies, excellent and shitty movies. Lindsay, I need to talk to you. So many movies. I think the latest one that's like I don't know, maybe like 2016 or something is pretty good. If you have Tubi, there's like 16 Krampus movies.
The one called Krampus that was like in the theater and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's awesome.
I thought that movie was great.
It's a great movie.
What's interesting about that is that the thing with Krampus had nothing to do with Sinterklaas, but it was that Krampus came to the family of this little boy who lost his Christmas spirit. I loved that.
So he beat him and kidnapped him.
And started murdering them.
Don't ruin it. All right, next one.
I mean that.
Okay, if you haven't seen the movie.
Oh, yes. This is beautiful.
So,
I want to be a part of it.
Sinterklaas and all of his Krampus. All of his Krampus.
Which is interesting because that's what that one lady had. What was her name? Frau something.
Brooker.
Frau
yeah.
Yeah, she had a whole army of Krampuses too.
God damn it.
This is such a more fun and interesting like tradition than what we have over here.
Oh yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
saying, like I wish
wholeheartedly.
I know it's kind of redundant at this point, but I really think we should adopt these traditions.
That's what I'm going for. That's what we're hoping.
It's like slipping a little bit of Halloween into Christmas.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's purely just because we don't know about it. Like in the States, we have no idea. Like I would have no idea. I mean, yes, of course, I've seen Krampus here and there, but if it wasn't for doing the research for Bobby's Scripted Corner, I don't think a lot of us here on stream would know like the full background, like where it came from and all of these things. So it's like, unless you took the time to learn, you would have no idea. And then once you learn, you're like, well, goddamn, I would trade Santa Claus for these fools any holiday.
Let's not get carried away, Brie. We get about both of them.
I'll stand by what I said.
We need that balance of good and evil on Christmas.
Yes.
Jamie?
Rue Claus. Go ahead and drink to that. Rough Nicholas. Rough Claus. A bit more handsy and rough than how Sinterklaas handles the children. So just maybe not stabby McStabby kill, but just like aggressive.
So aggressive.
I don't know what's worse, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly.
I think that Sinterklaas seems to be the one that literally just stands in his little saint hat and marches forward. Everyone else does like the touching.
His bidding. Yeah.
Exactly.
He just gets the credit for the presents. Yeah.
Exactly. Tony?
Well, go ahead and drink.
Yeah, Pelschnickel.
Not even trying that one. Fury Nicholas. He's actually part of the MCU. He's got his own movie coming out soon where he teams up with Spider-Man. Yeah, Fury Nicholas.
That thing's still happening?
Yeah.
By the way, Pelschnickel is Belschnickel.
Pelschnickel.
I should have put that in the text that everyone knows Belschnickel. This is the same thing. Belschnickel.
He's the only companion that doesn't show up with Santa Claus. He comes to town 1 to 2 weeks before Christmas because he wants to scope it out, kind of set it up, see who's got the right identities to steal. His job's to enter town and scare the children into behaving. So maybe he's like preemptively trying to help the kids.
Exactly.
He's warning them. He's a warning warning siren. Like, hey, button up or shit's about to get bad.
Absolutely.
These are some very like poorly behaved children. Like people always like to criticize kids of today, but I'm like, I'm getting the feeling
way worse back then.
They were like pretty bad back then too.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to come up with these superpowered beings that can be everywhere at any time, and be like, if you don't behave, this magical creature is going to show up.
Beat the shit out of you. Yeah,
shut up about Pinochle and behave yourself.
I would argue that. I think that nowadays we have more things to take away.
For sure.
Kids have so many things that, obviously like in our day. And
the iPad.
People
you just give them an iPad with TikTok and
I'm taking away the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. You have no data. Like those things are so traumatic to a kid. But if a kid really just like sits at home and like churns some butter and maybe feeds the goats, what kind of punishment do you have for them?
Yeah,
that's a good point. It's like your whole life is a punishment. So if you're misbehaved, what can you do? Extraterrestrial cryptid bearded man that will like kidnap and molest you.
Yes.
He'll beat you with sticks.
You've set the bar so low with quality of life. This is the only choice we have.
Yeah, that's gonna really scare them. They're like, listen, I get beat at home already by my mom and my dad and the people I work for. I work for like literally 1 penny a day. I haven't eaten in 6 days. I haven't pooped in 12. I'm probably gonna die in the next 6 years.
But again,
what do you want from me? What do you want from me?
In all these portrayals, it's all like rich kids.
It is though, right?
It is though.
So I mean, I could see little rich kids were probably little whiny weirdos back then too.
Oh, for sure.
They still don't understand the eyebrows
like
that drawn on
that kid from The Toy with Richard.
I think it's a mask, Brie.
Yeah,
I know,
it's
weird.
It's a skin mask.
I think if I ever have kids, which probably will never happen. Obviously, I've missed the boat, but I would.
Like 25.
I would try to really dig in on these people that are accompanying Santa Claus. I would really be like, hey, this one's going to beat you.
Like, we can have Santa Claus in the house, but you also need to learn about Pelschnickel.
Exactly. It's not just like, oh, if you're naughty, then maybe you're not going to get gifts. No, you might get beat.
Beat.
You might get beat, bitch.
I have a friend that only gives her children 3 presents on Christmas because if it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for her kids, and I think that's a beautiful tradition.
I love that.
Very nice.
That's great.
I don't get it.
Because Jesus, 3 wise men. Each gave him a gift.
This is Dwight on The Office for the Office fans, as I am when he dressed up like Belschnickel. I had to add that in.
Love it.
That was it. I didn't pronounce it wrong. I did it wrong.
I feel like you
drink.
did.
Is anyone else feeling naughty?
Always.
So
I'll be
nutty.
hurt.
Oh God, drink for this one. Schnet.
Someone
Rupert,
read. I'll be right back.
Next Rupert.
No, you don't pronounce the K.
Necked.
It's pronounced
Rupert.
Farmhand Rupert.
Farmhand Rupert, especially in Germany. Farmhand Rupert accompanies Sinterklaas. His role is to ask children if they can pray those who could. If they can pray those who could.
You fucked up saying couldn't.
What? His role is to ask children if they can pray those who could. Would be gifted gingerbread, apples, and nuts. Oh, just if they could pray? Oh, okay. Those who couldn't. No, I didn't read this one. Those who couldn't would be beaten with his bag of coal. Some legends say that kids would be thrown into the sack, then tossed in the river, which was icy cold. Later, his punishments turned into gifting coal sticks and stones to bad children.
Just like a sack of kittens.
Wait. What?
Yeah. Go ahead and
come
hit the
around
like
here with
button.
that late 1800s children's rights horse shit. We need to adopt this again.
You want to go back to child slavery? You're into that?
No, not slavery.
Oh, just forced labor?
No, this isn't China.
Like, it builds character.
Listen, I do not like that we live in a world now where everyone gets participation trophies and people aren't bullied.
Right.
I'm like
That's the slippery slope from child
agree.
labor. We're here where we are now.
I agree.
All right.
I agree.
What
I agree.
happened? What happened?
You have to give people real hardship.
Sorry. What happened?
We decided that
children
children
that
should
could
be
pray.
bullied.
Those
that's
who
obvious.
could would be gifted gingerbread, apples, and nuts. Those
I read this whole
couldn't.
thing. I read the whole thing.
I heard you struggling, so I was like,
Bree,
wait.
where
I
were
got
you?
you.
We already
I figured
did
it
this.
out.
Okay.
Guess the next one.
This one's my favorite. Just slam you with his whole entire bag of stones.
Oh, slam me next, Rupert.
Slam.
So I think this is a dope ass picture. This is Sinterklaas with all of his Krampen and friends going through this storm, going to your house, to your village, to the
Bree, do me a
people.
favor real quick while I'm thinking about it. Can you turn your mic up a little bit, please? I feel like we're all louder than you.
Yes, Daddy.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's way better.
Okay.
Keep
Anyway,
talking in
I
that
think
voice.
I think this is awesome. I think this is an awesome pick. I love the idea of this one person and all of his minions to do the bidding. I almost started a fire. This is an early 20th century Christmas card from Austria. So this was definitely something that they really put out there to people.
Of course it is.
You can have this lovely
Of course it is.
this lovely saint, but he's coming hand in hand
With Satan.
Satan.
The devil.
With us, devil. Jamie.
Sinterklaas's first recorded U.S. celebration was at the end of the 18th century. In December 1773 and again in 1774, a New York newspaper reported that groups of Dutch families had gathered to honor the anniversary of his death, which was on the 6th of December.
This is that's Dutch.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the first time it's being a recorded written version of it happening in the United States.
They hit New York
Well, this
all of
is
them
3
did.
years before the greatest nation became a nation.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Are we the greatest nation?
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, we're a
Ouch.
lot better than
Most.
Yeah, you could be in Austria still. Oi.
We're way better than France, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, fuck them. They're
So
Leave
the
France
next
alone.
time it popped up in popular culture was in 1809 when Washington Irvine helped to popularize Saint Nicholas, calling him the patron saint of New York in his book, The History of New York. And so this kind of like started getting more people interested in Saint Nicholas.
I see one of the elves in the chat, Spooky.
Spooky. Can you imagine purposely doing your hair that way as a guy? Like brushing.
It looks exhausting forward like that.
Yeah.
Wild. Looks like a tarantula on the side of his head.
Yeah.
Yo, why y'all hating?
He looks
He
looks like a douche.
Looks like Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh, okay, yeah.
R.I.P.
All right, next one.
R.I.P.
You got a bad.
I don't have anything. Mike, you'll be at the Golden Probes.
Just woke up.
We read this because it's small.
Yes.
Small.
I might have to put my glasses on, but I will definitely. Give me 2 seconds. I got that for you.
Thank you, Mrs. Claus.
1822, Clement Clark Mer, an Episcopal minister, wrote a long Christmas poem for his daughters entitled An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas, now known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Moore's poem is responsible for a modern image of Santa Claus as a right jolly old elf with a
portly.
With the I know.
Oh.
With a portly figure and a supernatural ability to ascend a chimney with a mere nod of his head. Although some of Moore's imagery was borrowed from earlier Santas, his poem did popularize the now familiar image of a Santa Claus we now know. This is extremely true.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really, I think this was like a huge moment. He wrote this 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Because you have to imagine there were so many immigrants already coming to New York at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They, can do what they want.
I'm just kidding.
You're one of them. They can do what they want, whatever. But I think until you make a poem, which then of course will end up being translated into a song over time, that's what people are looking for. That's like the pop culture of the time writings. So I really feel like this was a huge moment. 'Twas the Night Before Christmas was really like, oh, Santa Claus. Look at this white man and that big beard. And he's smoking dope. Beard. He's smoking dope out of that pipe.
Yeah.
So
that was
never mind.
Tony?
No, I was just going to say that's like 87 years before my ancestors came to this country. In 1915.
Read, Tony.
In 1881, political cartoonist, because we know how great they are, Thomas Nast took inspiration from Moore's poem to create the Santa image we know today. The hat and the beard. Mm-hmm. His cartoon in Harper's Weekly depicted Santa as a rotund, cheerful man, a la Coca-Cola, with a full white beard, holding a sack filled with toys for lucky children. It was Nast who gave Santa his bright red suit, which is just totally iconic, trimmed with white fur, which is really hot. If that's why I took the hat off.
All right.
The North Pole Workshop.
It's hot, like it's literally hot.
No, yeah, like it's hot.
I thought you had like a Santa hat thing fetish.
No, definitely not. Maybe. Elves and his wife, Mrs. Claus. Nast's creation is now the closest version of our Santa today.
And it was like very original in the 1981s or the 1881s.
The 1981.
Yeah, but look at that mustache with that beard.
That's a great mustache. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my!
I bet that guy likes craft beer.
This is not. I feel like the sentence of a man with a full white beard holding a sack filled of toys for lucky children is just wrong.
I agree.
I was about to say.
It's all I think about.
Somewhere there's somebody who has a panel van that is extremely jealous.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody looked up all the vehicles Bill Gates owns? Or is that too soon?
Too soon.
Too soon.
No.
In 1931, Haddon Sundblom, an illustrator for Coca-Cola,
That's
defined
definitely
Santa's image in an advertisement for the company. Sandblom's Santa was a portly white bearded gentleman dressed in a red suit with a black belt and white fur trim, black boots, and a soft red cap. Very, very similar to what the previous guy had done.
I hate the name portly. I've never heard that before.
So
It's like
it's,
portly's fat.
it's a
It's a nice word
descriptive
for
word.
fat. It's a nice word for fat. They use it for fat.
Santa Claus is a product
shit.
of a real life
Round.
John Draper.
Portly's like
basically.
round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you portly ass bitch. That's what I want to
and
hear next
And
time.
I do want to say that when he was actually making Santa, if you look at some of the pictures, he actually mirrored it off of himself. So for a while, he was doing it off of like a live model, and then the live model died, and then he started painting the Coca-Cola Santas as himself. So there were several times that like people were so into the Coke Santa that like they noticed that the belt was on backwards, and it
I
was
want to
because
party
he
with
was
Coke Santa.
he
Yeah.
was drawing
right.
himself in a mirror, and so it was like backwards. Or one time he forgot to put his wedding ring, so people
That's
wrote
hilarious.
into Coca-Cola asking Coca-Cola what happened to his wife.
That is fucking
Mm.
so funny.
Like people were
That's
so
what people did before
into the
TikTok.
Yes.
They had nothing else to do with their time. Yes,
I can see it. I can see it right here. If you could give him a beard,
it
and,
literally looks
hat
just like him. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and those ears to hear all the elves talking shit. I love it. Tony, I mean Bobby.
All right.
So this is directly from the Coca-Cola website.
Is your name
Thanks,
Bobby?
Bobby.
Oh, sorry.
Your
Sorry.
name Bobby? So this is directly from the Coca-Cola website. So Coca-Cola Corporation did not actually create the legend of Santa Claus, but its advertising played a huge role in shaping this jolly character we know of today. So before 1931, there were many different depictions of Santa Claus around the world, including a tall, gaunt man and an elf. And as we've gone over several different incarnations the last couple episodes, on the entire spectrum of good and evil. But in 1931, Coca-Cola actually commissioned illustrator Haddon Sundblom to paint Santa Claus. You can't do that while I'm reading it.
Quick.
To paint Santa Claus for Christmas advertisements. And they more or less established Santa as a warm, jovial character with human-like features, not an elf, mind you. He seems a little less molesty, I might add, but not completely non-molesty. Rosy cheeks, which is always a sign of a guy that likes to knock him back and party.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He likes his whiskey.
He looks like a guy from Boston, Massachusetts, basically. A white beard, twinkling eyes, and I don't know, with laughter lines. I guess that's
Like laugh lines.
Wrinkles.
Oh yeah, he likes to laugh, so it's like crow's feet for your mouth.
Yes,
It is.
exactly. Literally.
I just want to say for all the comments out there that are just like, oh, it's a Coke. Ha, ha, ha. That's a good point, though, you guys. Like Coca-Cola originally
Be made of
had
Coke.
cocaine. So originally, this holly jolly man was like, cocaine, baby. Although he didn't.
I can attest.
Like, yeah.
I can attest to drinks that are
Just
made
snorting cocaine. How fun it is.
No, from drinks that are made
Cocaine.
from coca leaves, because in Peru we had the coca tea, which is just the coca.
You
leaf.
did it. Hold on.
Bree, I drink that shit every chance I got.
Can we take a quick pause of the story? Tell
How many
me
lines
all
of coca
about
tea
that.
did you do?
So the
What did it? I want all the details. What it taste like? What did it feel like? Did you actually feel the things like, or did it just feel like black tea? Like, what's the deal?
No, so it doesn't it doesn't get you high or anything like that. All it does is it cures the altitude sickness because the elevation is over 9,000 feet in Cusco. So they serve coca tea to everybody, and it's good. It tastes like kind of like oolong tea
high as
or
fuck.
like it does not get you high.
I end up in a stranger's kitchen. I'm just talking about Seinfeld all night.
Just question: if you're on cocaine, do you need to drink the tea, or like, oh, I have Coke in the bag, I'll be all right?
I don't know. I've never done cocaine.
So you don't even know what the feelings are.
No, but when you wake up in the morning and you go down, you get a nice hot coca tea, just calm the stomach down because of
how does it compare to say something like regular strong coffee?
Yeah.
It's better than strong coffee because it doesn't have the bitterness.
Because it has cocaine in it. Because it has that sweet Peruvian yayo.
Yeah, it does have cocaine in it. But it's good. It's not. It doesn't get you fucked up where you're like staring at the wall going.
You little chatty, a little more chatty.
Cocaine doesn't do that.
Yeah, cocaine just makes you like excited.
I've never had cocaine.
I have ADD, so like cocaine just never really did anything for me. Like I could just fall
chilled
asleep.
You out. Yeah.
Like it always felt less than Adderall. I was just like, I'll take a nap now.
What does that say about Adderall? We're giving our kids fucking methamphetamines.
Maybe not kids need them, but some folks function better with it.
All right, give us the next one, Bree.
Oh shit! Hold on.
It makes me really good at writing poetry no one wants to hear.
All the pain in my heart.
The worst superhero power.
I want to kill my mom.
I'm gonna kill my grandma.
I'm gonna kill my grandpa.
Okay. Coca-Cola gives Santa a helper. So in 1942, Coke introduced quote unquote Sprite Boy, which is this person right here, a character who appeared with Santa in Coca-Cola advertising in the 1940s and the 1950s. He was also created by Sandblom, and he got his name due to the fact that he was a sprite or an elf. And fun fact, they actually did not make Sprite at this time. It wasn't until years later that they actually came out with a Sprite drink. And they never brought back Sprite Boy.
And ironically, Sprite Boy looks coked out of his mind. And Sprite doesn't have caffeine in it.
No, it doesn't.
It's interesting that
he's wearing the thing on his head and he's like, thumbs up.
But I think everybody can agree Sprite from McDonald's just hits different.
Just hits different, yeah.
Yeah, they put more sugar in that, so you crave salty food.
I don't like Sprite, really.
Dude, I'll tell you this: like, I swore off McDonald's years ago, but I was like going to one of those gas stations that has a McDonald's connected to it. And next thing I know, the smells that gross smell had me right in that drive-through line.
You know what?
And
you want the fries?
I fucking love McDonald's. I'll tell you that.
I know you do.
I give you the next one.
It's a fat joke. Hold on.
Hold I love this. Vibes.
Bugging me that you guys can see my entire bar.
Yeah.
Let me see if it helps. God damn it.
Nope. Still not there.
It's not like it's like incriminating. It's not like I have like a Pornhub app, but it's annoying. It's not going away. Fuck it. What's not amateur?
Reddit.
Amateur.
All right, we'll have to deal with it. These are the very iconic imagery of commercials and whatnot that we've seen with Coca-Cola. Like, no one can deny that. I feel like this triggered memories. I was like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Santa Claus is going to save the polar bears, but they never did.
I seriously drink Coca-Cola only at Christmas time.
I exclusively only like Coke. I'm not going to lie to you. I fucking hate Pepsi. I think Pepsi's gross. If I have to drink a soda, it's Coke. And also, I use Coke as an anti-nausea. Whenever I feel nauseous, I drink Coke because it has pepsin inside of it. And it literally, it also helps with your headaches.
Verner's.
Have a cup of syrup. It makes you feel better.
It's the same thing,
Cocaine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cocaine.
Ginger ale. Ginger ale.
Ginger ale works great as well. I agree.
I'm in love with the cocoa. It's just kind of wild.
Should we get a banner ad? I love that. That's hilarious.
Look at him gnawing on that fucking turkey leg.
And that is America right there.
Give and take,
I really is. It's funny because all of these pictures were just like very familiar to me. But
yeah,
when you learn about Santa Claus and you learn about how Coke basically infiltrated and created this entire figure, the entire Santa enigma from that, it's like, oh shit.
Oh, Coca-Cola totally capitalized on the idea of Santa Claus.
And in the process, like
trademarked it.
Yeah, recreated what we know of it today.
Yeah. Put a fucking stamp on it and boom, they're making money. They're making money. And they did the same thing with the polar bears. I mean,
good for them.
They literally took murder machines. I don't know if everybody understands how horribly terrifying polar bears are.
I love them.
Well, they are bears.
They are, and they're the worst of the bears. It's the largest of the bears.
All the bears.
Are they
more dangerous
dying?
than grizzlies?
They're not dying. Grizzly polar bears.
Maybe they shouldn't be such carnivorous assholes.
Polar bears are the only bear species on Earth that will actively hunt people.
Love it. Why is there not a
As they should.
Polar bears. You just gotta give them
the next one, Brie.
Just give them a Coke and a smile, and they're fine.
They're fine. They'll just eat your face while you're
in the early 1890s. The Salvation Army needed money to pay for free Christmas meals they provided to needy families, and they began dressing up unemployed men in Santa Claus suits and sending them into the streets of New York City to solicit donations. Those familiar Salvation Army Santas have been ringing bells in the streets of American cities ever since. It's like the iconic. You see them outside of every like grocery store. Walmart, and it originated and then dressing up homeless men and giving them jobs.
And they're like, we need a Christmas meal. They're like, you ring that bell.
You know what? They should employ the homeless men, but I feel like they don't do that anymore.
They don't do that.
It's just like people, and I'm like, I don't have any fucking change, and then I feel bad. They sit there with
you can send me it on Venmo.
You know, they're like, oh, just Venmo it to me.
You're like, why do you have a phone plan?
And I'm like, what's your Venmo? And then I'm like, to the car.
Like, oh, let me go get my phone.
Is that it?
No.
Okay.
You know, a homeless guy came up to me one time. I think it was about 23.
I love these stories that start like this.
22 or 23 years old, and a homeless guy came up to me and he was like, can you spare $20? And I don't know why I said it, but the first thing that came out of my mouth was, do you have a tax exemption form?
I think that's
great I don't like to donate to people because, like, especially like at the grocery store, if they're like, do you want to donate your change? And I'm like, no, because then you as a company
charity is generally a money laundering scheme.
It
really is.
Well, it is. Now that I know, I had no idea, but now I feel bad when they're like, would you like to donate $1 to blah, 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 blah.
Never.
You feel bad, but then you realize that it's literally only so that this big company can collect non-exemption tax status. And it's like, what?
My favorite thing is the when you're doing checkout and they're like, would you like to donate $1?
Would you like to round
my favorite is when they're like, do you want to donate your change to help help build a school? And I'll look the cashier dead in the eyes and be like, no, I don't like children.
No, but
wait, Tony, what do you do with veterans?
So when they say, like, would you like to donate $1 for disabled veterans? And I'm just like, no, I'll just keep my money. And they look at me and I'm like, I'm a disabled veteran. Why am I going to give?
Why would I give you money? Yeah. I just give it to myself.
The lesson here is if you're going to give to a good cause, just what I like to do, just adopt, not literally adopt, but like just find a family like at your church or at your workplace, someone that's like someone you know in the community, a friend of a friend that's down on their luck, maybe someone who's like spouse just died and they have kids and they're, that's the way to do it, is just do it directly.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't agree more.
Do you guys know how many homeless cats are in your area? Like,
for
that
sure.
gets to me. Like, there's
You know what I saw the other day you would love, Bree?
animals, humans all day. So
Somebody at their wedding, instead of throwing the bouquet, they threw a stuffed cat, and whoever caught it had to adopt a cat.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds like a stable wife that guy locked down.
Very, yeah.
What a great choice.
I could just picture
was.
somebody throwing a stuffed cat.
I love that, Aaron. I'm going to stay out of this conversation. I throw money at everyone who asks me.
Aaron, money, baby.
By the way, what you can do a super
I will
chat,
do the no
right?
shame dance.
If anyone wants to do a super chat and donate to a disabled veteran, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Donate to me.
All right, Bree,
That's
bring
my
back
money
up the
dance.
next slide, darling, where we get into the fun part.
This is the rant I went on to Kari earlier today because I'm feeling the heat.
Bree.
Santa Claus and his fucking Christmas machine. So the average American spends about $1,000 on Christmas gifts, and surprisingly, Canadians double that. Now, I have a really hard time believing that it's just $1,000, but I have to remember that, like, I live in California, so of course what we're spending is different to the other parts of
white privilege alert.
Mm-hmm.
To the other parts of America. Because I know for a fact that, like, I've definitely, not this year, but in past years, it's a couple grand for Christmas. And from the Gallup poll, November to December, the retail sales rose an unusually high 14.1% in 2021, which was interesting if you think about, like, post-COVID. That increase, as reported by the National Retail Federation, compares that the average 4% year-over-year increase has been seen by the NRF estimates since 2006. So we're just going up.
Are you asking me to talk about the Federal Reserve and inflation? Because I will talk about it.
So the interesting thing,
no one wants
is
to
you
hear
have
about
to
that.
also compare to, like, inflation and, like, how that's hitting people, and then also comparing to, like, what people are actually spending. So, like, why is it that people are people are spending more? They're spending more
because everything's more expensive now. That's the problem. They're spending more because everything costs so much more fucking money.
I get that,
right?
So what we do is we make a set amount that we're going to spend. I think some people call it a budget. And what we do is we try not to go over that.
Budget? You do this?
Yeah, budget.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I do a budget. And then I don't buy gifts for people I don't like.
Oh. Okay, but how do you not buy gifts for your family?
I was going to say, my tactic is to buy nothing for anyone.
That
was a joke.
My gift to the family is that I am here.
Yeah, I'm the present.
I am here. Because that's more personable.
That's why I didn't have children. I don't like to celebrate holidays. I'm good.
I've been begging my family for the last 10 years to just, like, let's just celebrate Christmas. Let's not do any gifts.
Yeah.
They won't do it.
No,
because my mom's love language is presents.
No, yeah. This is like the rampage I went
liquor.
with Kari earlier today. Is like, I'm feeling the pressure because my family's always been the same. And it's like, you know, she'll never see this, but my grandma literally pulled me aside the other day to be like, you're not going to have like a big amount of presents because the ones that I got you for, like, you and Josh, you know, my husband, is worth more. Like, it's more expensive. And it was just like the fact that she had to explain
sentimentally.
No, expensive. Like, she kept like, and like really putting into me, like, it's worth more money. The cost is more money. So you have less, but it's because it costs me more.
Yeah.
And just thinking about the fact that she had to pull me aside and say that to me, I'm just like, I am so over this because obviously she's feeling pressure
It's like
I'm feeling pressure.
Like you shouldn't.
Look,
you should.
Why do we?
No one
put
should feel
so
pressure
much
to have
pressure.
Oh, I
I
only got
know-
you 2 things, and it's like, why would you feel bad about that?
I am no like I totally get and I agree that like consumerism in general, when it becomes the prime focus of these types of things, is kind of gross and weird, and like especially when people feel the pressure to do things because that's the precedent that's been set traditionally. But you know, like Joe 5D was just saying, like commerce is a good thing for the collective, right? Like it's good for it makes everyone have a Merry Christmas. I don't know if you guys have ever worked in retail, but a lot of times if you work in retail, like that's when you make all your money, like for the year.
Yeah.
That's when you make your money is November and December.
Yep.
And the rest of the year you
End of
just
the
kind
year.
of coast on those commissions or whatever.
Nope.
But
Yep.
so I mean,
No,
it's like anything else. There's pros and cons here, and I don't think we could like. I don't think it's necessary to like vilify commerce or you know, people buying, selling, exchanging things, but we also have to like keep in mind that that's not the entire purpose of all this.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like for me, it's been hard because this year has been harder for me than normal. And so, but then it really puts in perspective of like, what are we putting on Christmas? Like, is Christmas not? I would be happy if we all just got together. Like, we get together,
Hung out.
we drink our champagne, we have great dinner, we have great hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna watch a Christmas movie.
Thanksgiving
Like, all
2.0.
of that is great.
Exactly. Just Thanksgiving.
But then when you add the pressure of everyone should at least get really good gifts, that's hard.
But the thing is, like, I've had
My family, really good gifts are really fucking good gifts. So it's just like, I can't compete with that this year.
You should just like
So
make
I
them
feel like,
but I've had the most
video.
I've had the most simple things be like the best gifts ever. Like,
you can't give head to everyone in your family, though, Tony. So like, how am I supposed to?
No, I don't live in Louisiana,
Alabama. All right, Brie, give us the next slide, babes.
Yeah, way to ruin that. Let's just move on from
I thought that was great. Okay.
West Virginia.
So stores started to advertise Christmas shopping in the 1820s, and by the 1840s, newspapers created separate sections for holiday advertisements, much like the ones we have today, where everyone waits for like the Black Friday deals to drop. Although now we do it digitally instead of in a newspaper.
Cyber Monday.
Mm-hmm. The first department store Santa was the first mention of it. This is printed in the Philadelphia North American on December 25th, 1841. Kris Kringle, or Santa Claus, much as our young readers have heard and imagined of this worldly character, as the bountiful patron of good children on Christmas Eve. They probably never expected to behold the real personage. Yeah, drink. In the very act of descending. This is the quote that was written inside of the newspaper. Oh man, where was I? In the very act of descending a chimney. As our friend Parkinson has shown him over this well-thorough shop door in Chestnut Street. He was decidedly the attraction yesterday and last evening, and monopolized more than his share of the attention of the young folk, which is usually bestowed with a undivided admiration of the bonbons in his window. So this is like the very first mention of somebody having like a version of Santa inside of their store.
Boop, boop.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're bringing Santa in the department store. So it's one thing to have
41.
the presence of like, oh, you should be buying things for your family because of Santa. But now Santa's looking at you right in the face when you walk down the street of Fifth Avenue in New York City. He's looking at you like, are you buying for your kids?
Just to put this in perspective, this is 100 years before Pearl Harbor and 20 some odd years before the Civil War.
Yeah.
It's
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Give me the next slide so I can give the next part of the story.
capitalism be going along?
So James Wood Parkinson was one of the most influential American cooks of the 19th century and eventually established himself as a restaurateur in Philadelphia. His shop included imported foods and sweets from all over the world. Parkinson decided to hire a man to dress up as Kris Kringle and climb down the chimney of his store for Christmas to kind of like, it was like his opening of it. And it's what got everybody in. And then people came there for years and years after. People just kind of like, it became like Santa's like house.
That's fucking awesome. I wonder if this is like, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't know if this is true. But I wonder if this moment was the moment where they realized that if we can stage Santa on a stage, like on an actual stage behind all these things, we can take pictures with him and children. Because it seems like the first instance where Santa goes down a fake
here's the thing.
chimney, and then he's like, "Hey kids, what do you know?
Here's
I'm
the
here
thing
for
with
you to
that.
shop."
It is highly disputed whether or not this was the first quote unquote department store Santa. So if you can go to the next slide. There's a war and a battle. So there's a battle about the real first Santa. And this guy, James Edgar of Brockton, Massachusetts, is widely credited to being the one who first came up with the idea of dressing up for Santa Claus for Christmas. And what he did is he went to, I think it's on the next slide. Go to the next one for me.
So why does he look like he belongs in Tron?
No, he looks like a dwarf.
Wait, I know. I'll get you. So in 1890, Edgar, so this is much after, who owned a dry goods store, had a Santa costume tailored to fit him especially. And a few weeks before Christmas, he made his first appearance as Santa in his store. But what's interesting about him is this is not the only holiday he ended up dressing up as in his store. He ended up getting like a bunch of different costumes and stuff. Like if you saw the picture before, he's dressed up as a clown. That was like April Fool's Day. He would dress up and like, do shit like that or whatever. So he always had different costumes and outfits to help like market his store and to draw people in. So I feel like this is more that opportunity of pictures, because the other one was just so much older, and I don't think it went more widespread. And this one apparently did. So a lot of people claim that it's this.
It is older, and it might be more relevant, but you also have to think about like when it comes to people thinking of ideas, it always stems from something in the past. So I'm personally going to lean towards the very first person. What was his name? The Parkinson. I'm going to lean towards Parkinson being the first person, because if he never had done that, I don't think people would put the two and two together for a Santa or whatever figure to actually show up in a department store.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that the majority of people though claim that Edgar is the one who did that. Like,
they don't know that history. So
the difference is 49 years.
Almost
a generation.
And then we have another contender as well.
Hold on, wait. Before we move on, can we just look at his face? God damn, that is
creepy.
It looks like, hey, you guys.
So Macy's claims that none of these stores were department stores and that they were the first one to have a department store Santa.
Lies.
Yeah, they're like, fuck all these people. It was Macy's. But Macy's was around pretty back in the day, so.
Macy's is so not it now. I would never.
Not. Go to the next one.
But they do have the Thanksgiving
parade.
Tony, can you read this, please?
Yeah. In 1861, the store advertised that Santa came to Macy's in Herald Square in New York to stock their counters with his finest Christmas gifts. He's got the best gifts.
Only the best.
Only the best.
The millions
not from
and the
China.
Millions,
not from China. Over the next 4 decades, Macy's was deemed the headquarters of Santa Claus and later the home of Santa Claus.
Macy's had such a good run for so long. They really were. And if
they really did.
Honest question.
They still have a Santa mailbox. I've been to a Macy's. My aunt likes to shop there to buy dresses.
Like in the last
5 years. Not in the last year. I haven't been to a Macy's now.
Unless it's in San Francisco, no. Like San Francisco Macy's,
New York.
yes. And in New York, I've seen in New York because I've been there. The New York Macy's is pretty legit. So many levels. Yes, extremely old. That's the one and only. And I feel like they still have a certain par. But it's New York, San Francisco, the rest of the Macy's now. I mean, it smells like dirty diapers. Nothing's in order. It's just a shit show.
It's a shit show.
Like, I'm surprised there's that Neiman Marcus isn't on here.
It's on its way out. Don't worry.
Yeah, I mean they've got their own custom Aston Martins.
I was gonna say, are you kidding me? The Neiman Marcus for Santa Claus, like it's head to toe Christian Louboutin.
I know. Bree, will you read this one?
In 1862, they had their first in-store Santa Claus, and soon after, Macy's began decorating their windows with huge displays that would attract the attention of passerbys and prompt them to come in and browse and purchase some of their top quality items for the holidays, sparking the tradition of holiday winter displays.
Yes, which I think is like such an iconic thing
Live
now.
for that.
There's like so many places, especially like Macy's, Nordstrom, they have like these ceremonies where they like rip off the curtain and it's like, here's what I've created. It's always like the talk of the town and stuff like that. So that's another tradition that Macy's has like stapled into our society without even really realizing they've done that.
No, especially in New York. Like it's insane. It's insane. I mean, you walk by and it's literally like they gave you a little peek through of what you could have. And they are it's so thoughtful and visionary. Everything is like a scene of what they envision for the next year. And it's like the upcoming trends. And it's so meticulous and inspiring. I mean, hats off to those. But New York is the only place I've really been by where I'm like, God damn, like these window little look-ins. It's like a portrait. You're looking into a portrait of what they want to sell, and it is impeccable.
And just to give some context to this is a year after the Civil War started. So if you could think of like where the country was
economically, it wasn't great. Economically, they were still trying to push people to spend money. Yeah. And they were trying to uplift people's spirits and stuff too.
So then that's a good point though. Do you think that could have been the beginning of like, even though times are tough, this is what it could be? Like that to me sounds like the pressure. Because if this is after, you said World War II?
No, Civil War.
The Civil War. My bad.
This is a year into it, so the Civil War has been going on for a year.
So it's and I think that also can speak to capitalism in general, especially when it comes to fashion, is this separation between what is happening worldwide, what the overall tone is of the entire nation, what they're going through. It's setting aside from that. It's almost like a complete nod off. Like who cares? This is what you should focus on. This is the new painting. This is what you need to look forward to. This is what you should like customize your life towards being. This is your go-to. This is your goal.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that people should look into this kind of stuff here, because you see what we were doing during the Civil War. And then if you look at like World War II, where it's all the bond sales, like support the effort kind of thing, you don't see that here. Here, they're just trying to bring people together because we're a country at war with itself.
I don't even think if it's coming to, maybe it is coming together. Yes. In this picture Christmas, in general, because it's family, but I kind of feel like this could be that shattering moment where we insert a disillusionment where I think America is so fantastic at, which is we forget about all the other global issues and even just at home national issues. We throw out all of that aside and it comes to, what are you buying? because if you don't purchase these certain items, you don't fulfill this sort of fantasy. You're not living this picture perfect life that you should have. I feel like that's what speaks to me in this this is the pivotal moment of like, forget all of the craziness. And we know that that's how we are.
Yeah,
it could be literally World War II at our whole goddamn doorstep. And at the end of the day, we're going to be like, but Louis Vuitton has a new bag and it's Christmas season. And here's a commercial. And we're all like, everything's fantastic. I'm walking down the street and I'm doing so well.
Yeah, but
it's that disillusionment that they have pushed that we
that hasn't
into.
changed. I mean, look at where we're at now. We have the Ukraine war, which for some reason we've spent more money in 1 year than we spent on Iraq and Afghanistan. But
whoop-de-doo, Basil.
They're just saying things like, oh, well, we have the new iPhone 14 whatever. And somehow Samsung went from the Galaxy 9 to X to 22. I don't know. What the hell?
Exactly. I'm like, who cares about anything Android? No one's buying that. Just iPhone. And anyway, next slide.
Right, next slide. Yeah. So the most iconic department store Santa of them all is Kris Kringle from the 1947 classic Miracle on 34th Street. I'm sad that Bibby's not here because that's who I wanted to talk about this, but
where'd he go?
I don't know.
Should we call him?
I'll text him.
I am old Kris Kringle. We should have put in the I don't know who makes them, the stop animations, which I hate them, but that's always been my dad's favorite holiday movies to watch, or all of
like
the
Rudolph
stop, like the stop animations,
like the originals. Yeah.
I am old Kris Kringle. Hear my sleigh bells ring.
With Jack Frost.
It's Jack Frost, all of it, and it's so painful for me to watch. And he loves them, like that's his soul Christmas shit. And every year I'm like, why do we have to watch this? And my sister's like, you realize like,
there he is, Bibby.
Stop animation. They have to like,
hey, what's
film,
up? Sorry.
film cut.
I had to help my wife flip the mattress real quick.
It's all good. Bibby, do you want to talk to us about the most iconic department store Santa of them all, Kris Kringle from the 1947 classic Miracle on 34th Street?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Never seen that.
What a movie buff.
Really?
Never seen that movie.
Is that the next clip? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the movie that makes everyone not believe in Santa Claus anymore. So it's
Is that the one where they're
all
like,
the adults in this movie don't believe in Santa, and then all the kids are like, hey, I watched this movie, Miracle on 31st Street, and is Santa not real? And then you have to have that conversation.
Is that the movie where they make the legal argument that he is Santa because on the dollar it says "In God We Trust"?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Oh,
I like straw man arguments.
Totally.
All right.
Well, this is tailing off of the Christmas machine. We all know of Black Friday shopping and Cyber Monday, which is giganticor.
Why's it got to be black?
Major consumerism. You are a good boy.
We can talk about why it's Black Friday and why it's called Black Friday.
Okay.
Okay, so in accounting, you're either in the red or you're in the black. If you're in the red, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. If you're in the black, you're good.
And if you're in the black, it's good. So Black Friday was created. I forget exactly when it was created, but it was created as a way to boost retail sales before Christmas.
You close out.
Yeah, so you're closing out the books and you want to boost your books. So you apply all these sales and everything. You get everybody to get in there and buy as much as they can. And it's volume over quality of what you're selling.
Ain't that
so if you can sell
truth.
It really is.
If you can sell 100 TVs at a 10% discount, you're doing better than selling 10 TVs with no discount.
No discount, yeah.
So that's
it's really accelerated as well. Like it started with Black Friday, which was literally like as soon as you were done with Thanksgiving. It was supposed to be midnight, but then they just inched it more and more,
closer
more
and closer.
Before you knew it, it was as soon as you were done with eating dinner, like the shops are open, and it was just like boom. You knew that capitalism had again taken hold of the Christmas spirit. In some cases, people were literally killed from being trampled on by doors opening, people storming the local Walmart.
Yeah, and 100 million were killed in the 20th century from communism. You know, it's a give and take around here.
It's a give and take.
Okay. Hallmark in general racks in an average of $350 million fucking dollars each year in Christmas movies alone, and they have around 300 Christmas movies so far.
Oh, so they get $1 per movie?
No, this is so
$100.
far.
Oh,
no, this is so far.
gotcha.
This is in their entire, like, they have around 300 movies, like, in their store bank, but every single year, like, they could put out a couple movies. They're making $350 million.
How many recently broken up women can meet a guy in a small town that teaches them the meaning of Christmas?
But yet, it's become incorporated in, like, our tradition. Like, I love to watch Christmas movies with my family. I know my mom is a sucker for all of them. But it's just like another branch of monetization for the entire Christmas machine. I mean, it started from one thing, and now people are like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And now this becomes an entire tree of money that we can capitalize off of. We've got not just Hallmark and their Christmas movies, which I think are huge because everyone's like, yes, Christmas movies, Christmas movies. I mean, what's the number one streamed movie? Especially
Harry
for this
Potter.
time of year. Anything Christmas.
Christmas.
Like
Die Hard.
Die Hard.
No.
Definitely Christmas movie.
Christmas. It is a Hallmark. You know, I would even argue that before all of this, Hallmark could have gone out of business because they were just cards. But I think they really got in with, like, we'll do the Christmas shit. We will do all of the movies. And they became the hub of Christmas movies. And people just for all of that. So this is a legitimate Christmas machine. What I was in the other slide that we put on here, because it's like starts from one thing and it's just like capitalism comes in, and I'm not going to give credence to like having a thoughtful mind. I mean, I think that's smart in a business sense. You think about all the little things you can do.
Yeah,
but it's really doing it all.
What kind of horrible people would capitalize on Christmas and do an entire month of Christmas cryptids?
Are you shitting my dick right now?
What? Are we doing that? No. Come on. We're
cryptids in quotes, because I don't every one of these has been like, they're not real. This is just part of the party.
Hey, but if it makes you feel any better, we're not really capitalizing. We're trying to get in with the holiday season, and we don't make a goddamn buck.
I'm trying to capitalize. What are we doing here?
We don't make a goddamn buck, Tony. Get yourself in check. Okay, Tony, you can read this next slide.
Yeah.
I went to public school. Today, Santa Claus and his
obviously.
Wife, Mrs. Claus, obviously. Okay, you went to public school too.
If and I didn't even
finish. Mrs. Claus live in the North Pole. Santa and his reindeer fly around the world Christmas Eve to hand out presents. Santa Claus keeps a naughty list and a nice list to determine who deserves gifts on Christmas morning.
You know what? I love your wife so much, but this kind of looks like her face from here. I feel like that's you and her.
Damn, nice work, Tony.
All right.
Mm.
All right.
She's way hotter than that.
Bree,
You
why
better
don't
make
you,
your
Bree,
dreams
why
come
don't you
true.
take the next slide?
Santa's weirdest ass reindeer need their own damn episode next year. Ho ho ho.
Oh, we can talk about Rudolph, the fucking.
So here's what begs the giant question, everybody, that we do at the end of every episode that we have to talk about here. What do we think about this Santa Claus character? I'm going to start off because I like to go first. I'm going to give this a solid.
And you first. A solid.
She's not giving us nothing. A solid
This is what happens when we don't live near each other and have a real studio.
All right, Bree, you go.
No, I'm last always.
All right,
Yeah.
Tony, you go.
It's sci-fi. It's a 1.
Oof.
Wow. Oh, no.
Well,
It's a 1. Just Santa in general. It's a 1. We can't give
Yep.
it any credit for having roots in real people or.
Bobby's
tradition.
turning more into mead lately. I love it.
Okay, so I'll give Santa a 1.5.
I'm back.
Bobby, you bring up
Thank
a good
you.
point. There is an
I
actual
earned it.
person that it was based off of.
That's
But
what I think.
all the supernatural things beyond then, it's just made up by people who want to make money.
I don't know. I was like, I feel like it's based in a real person, but like most of the cryptids, we realize capitalism wins and it turns into a way to produce and do things. That doesn't mean that
Hell
Bigfoot's
yeah.
not real or Nessie isn't real, but I think that that's just how we are as a society, where we take something and then we capitalize on it. So I think that this was real and it was based in a real person, but I think that the version that lives in the North Pole and flies around now is not real.
I think that's a reasonable explanation there.
Yeah. Anyone else who hasn't gone?
Yeah.
I don't think it's real because my mother told me it wasn't when I was 9 years old, and I'm going to give it a solid 3 just for good holiday cheer in case he is real. I don't want to. I want to
case you
hedge
don't
my
get
bets here.
No presents this year.
Yeah,
wanna jinx that.
and then like I was trying to allude to Tony's 1, it's
Fuck,
based
I
on a real
forgot
person,
something.
so that's got to count for something. And kind of like what we talked about last week, it's like, okay, so the physical incarnation of Santa Claus living on the North Pole, riding around on reindeers, eating cookies and shit, building toys for all the good boys and girls of the world. Yeah, I mean, that's I don't think that that's real. I don't think that's a real thing, but it's definitely something that has infiltrated and persifiated through our culture and is everywhere, and people adjust their behaviors in certain ways based on the mythology that is Santa Claus. So that's got to count for something too. So 3.5.
Yeah.
3.5.
That's actually pretty good. God damn. I don't even know if I can really quantify it that much. I believe in the old pagan traditions for sure. It's kind of tough because here on Bobby's Cryptic Corner, we always talk about how, like, if we believe in something enough, if there's a collective enough, that it probably could come true. And this is one example that I think challenges that.
What?
I do. I think it challenges that.
So what you're saying is,
perspective.
I was going to go on that tangent too. Can I just take this for a second, Brie? I want to get your thoughts on it. I think this is what
Go
you're
ahead.
saying. It's almost like, okay, if we subscribe to like let's say we subscribe to a multiverse paradigm, a child in the consensus of the children themselves believing in Santa Claus in their world, in their interpretation of the entire tangible matter, antimatter, ethereal realm, actual flesh and blood. That it doesn't matter to a child if we have enough children in the world believing in Santa Claus. There's a significant portion of the population that believes it is real. Thus, does that perhaps make it real? And then once these children grow up and they get red pilled that Santa Claus is not real, it splits off into another timeline of the multiverse, And so I guess what I'm saying is, if we all believed in Santa and all thought happy thoughts and clapped our hands, we could fly. Don't try it. But you know what I mean? Like if everyone believed in it, maybe this would manifest into reality.
All
but
right,
we
go
don't.
away.
We don't, because we're adults.
But it's difficult because
His
with
breeding
that,
adult.
but with that, I think that this is the one instance that I feel like challenges that belief. Unless it is that there are so many children that believe, but then in their pre-adolescence transition goes towards not believing, that it cancels that out. So there's, of course, like little things where we can really pick that apart. So, oh God, I would like to give it like a 2.
Oh, wow. So I just want to say that we agree that Bigfoot exists more than we agree.
Fuck yeah, of course. What are you?
Yeah, of course.
What show are you on,
Yeah.
Tony?
Yeah.
This
God
one.
damn it, Tony.
Have we even factor sci-fi Bigfoot once?
Yes.
No.
Have we?
Fucking
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
did a
did.
whole Bigfoot
Well, we should
episode.
revisit that.
We
should
did a whole
revisit it.
episode.
I
Bree.
do want to remind everyone that the Golden Probes are this Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Adjust to whatever standard time you are. And I'm going to play a short commercial for you guys real quick. So hold on.
Real quick.
Golden Probe Awards.
I'm so excited for Friday.
You guys are the
Sounded
queens
familiar.
of Canva. Is that all on
we don't-
Canva?
Yeah, we don't fuck around.
Oh my god, I'm all dicking around on like Adobe Premiere and shit.
No, we're great over
Yeah.
I
here.
didn't do that.
The Golden
So-
Probes are going to be intense. As you guys
Mhm.
know, we've
Yes.
worked very hard. We have not slept. We are really,
Down to the grind.
Yeah.
it's
So-
so exciting.
So I know you guys, you know, everybody who watches a show comes on and sees us in our form live, but what you don't see is
Santa.
the amount of work that has gone into the Golden Probes just on a daily basis. We are constantly texting each other, messaging each other. We're doing daily meetings.
Yeah, Bree created a really great map that we all did everything on. It was really easy to figure everything out and do everything together. It's been great. So we're really excited to put it on for you guys this year. It's going to be crazy.
You're all going to be surprised by the guests that we have presenting and everything else.
David
going on.
Wilcock will be there.
He will, for sure.
Just
We're gonna learn about the plan.
For sure. All right, you guys. Any
David
final
Wilcock
thoughts?
needs to sign my book before he gets his ass on my stream. That's all I got to say.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here, my lovers?
Yeah, I just want to top on top of Tony that I think that
You wanna
actually
top
speaks
on
for
top of
every.
me?
I want to top on top of you, where I think
Ooh.
that actually speaks for everything that we do here on the Toddy Wobble Multiverse. I think that we put an extraordinary amount of effort that it's always underlooked. So when we think of the Golden Probes, we just like top ourselves. And this is definitely going to be something that is not just us, but that we've expanded to the entire UFO community. We will have multitude of special guest appearances, and it's just going to be so much fun, you guys. It's going to like literally kick off your entire holiday weekend. So please join us here on Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Wherever the fuck you are in the world, you can figure it out. It's going to be awesome. Please join us here.
West
for
Coasters,
that.
I give you permission to drink at 3 p.m.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's a Friday. It's a holiday weekend. I don't even work that day. I have all day to myself.
I took it off too. I'm going to be drinking early.
10 a.m. I'll be
Perfect.
like,
All right. We love you guys all. We'll see you guys on Friday. Goodbye, everyone, and good night.
Bye, everyone.